We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, stay with this channel. Turn on alerts in Discord so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, check out the feedback form in the description down below. All right, let's welcome who is here. We have Alexandra first on the stream. Welcome. Kane, Mahet, Double Ace, David, Horace, Gray, welcome. We have Miklo, Corey, Huber's Ranch, Zach, Miguel, LA13. Hello in the chat. All right. Obvious breakout in the market. Maybe not so obvious as to whether or not people should jump in. I think yes. Maybe there's one more like small sideways dip. The simple fact is that portfolio managers at the end of the quarter are going to have to allocate money from stocks into the Bitcoin ETF. That's one. Two, crypto hedge funds are going to start buying large cap coins. Pepe and the big meme coins are up today. Solana, Sui, Ethereum, and Bitcoin are all soon to follow. A lot of people think this market is up a lot. It's not, right? I mean, you've had stuff like Arrow outperform. Okay, we'll take it. Arrow's probably going to wind up making a new high, right? Sui is probably going to 5x from here because Solana 10x'd last time we did this in October. The Chinese government is printing. They have to, and they're not printing enough. Our inflation numbers are down, and there's no way the Fed can slow down the rate cut process with China literally imploding. And I've heard stories that even though mortgage refinancing has started again, housing is still not moving, which means they have to just keep cutting rates. Now, said differently, everything we've been listening to over the last 6 months, oh my God, inflation, oh my God, this, are they going to cut rates? Everything that they've told you about the economic statistics and inflation, as far as I'm concerned, has been just outright false. So the narrative to justify higher rates, false, right? The whole idea of suppressing Bitcoin, not going to work. Altcoins, oversold, underowned, underappreciated. And people, I swear, if you look at things like 500-600 market cap coins, people are still asleep. The lesson of SEAM is that this thing can go higher, faster, and just leave people behind. Last year, if you were able to get yourself jumped in, right? If you aped in when this first started, 3 months from now, you were golden. I don't see this as being any different because there are a lot of sectors, there are a lot of coins that haven't even done anything yet, okay? That haven't done absolutely anything. So we're going to go over a lot of economics, a little bit of economics today, you know, as it relates to China, okay? Because that's the print job that's driving the market. That is the print job that is absolutely driving the market right now because they know that not only are the Chinese going to have to print, but so is everybody else because you cannot have 20% of the world's economy like shrinking, basically collapsing, and not have everyone else have to cut rates. Period. Okay. All right. So we are going to... All right. We are going to go. Oh, yeah. We're going to welcome who's here. Sorry. Okay. So we have SG, and Brandon in the house. Welcome. Okay. News. Okay. Perhaps the biggest news of the day. The Bank of New York is approved by the SEC, by Gensler, to start holding crypto. The Bank of New York is the largest custody entity at Wall Street. It is essentially what they do. They hold securities. Now, if they're holding crypto, this is now a gateway for banks to start holding crypto. I know in crypto, we're not big fans of banks, but if you're talking about like normie adoption, they're probably going to want tokenized assets, regular assets, their bank account, and fiat all in one place, along with crypto, excuse me. Right. They're going to want it all on some sort of rail. So whether they have stable coins and, Bitcoin and ETH, or Bitcoin and ETH just show up on their account screen along with everything else. This is normie adoption, and the whole idea of like gold higher, dollar lower, debt problems, all this stuff you've heard from me for months, right? In other words, the narrative, I don't even know what the narrative was. Oh my God, this, geopolitics, the Fed. Every week it was like, oh, this is the biggest number in the whole world, or this is the biggest debate, or whatever. Doesn't matter. None of it mattered. This type of stuff is what mattered. Now, here's a funny headline. See if I can find it. Okay, I like this. European shares surge to fresh high as luxury giants rally on China's stimulus. So obviously luxury goods stocks, 20 years ago, they were the darling when China was building everything. And then when the Chinese stopped spending, luxury goods stocks fell out of bed. It's hysterical that, now that the Chinese are printing and basically handing out money, guess everybody thinks it's going to wind up in luxury goods, or it's just an oversold bounce. The point is, if they're rallying luxury stocks, like if you were in China or you were in Hong Kong and you had the ability to get your hands on stimulus money, or you knew stimulus money was coming, this is just like COVID. You would just turn around and buy Bitcoin, and they have a Bitcoin ETF in Hong Kong, and everybody has forgotten about that, right? I remember Cointelegraph writing stuff like this. Everyone's forgotten about it. Okay, inflation, the Fed's preferred metric, fell to 2.2%. Core inflation, rises to 2.7%. Is the fight against inflation really over? All right, so I was doing some bond market reading the other day, and it's very typical after the first rate cuts, after an inflation environment, that everybody thinks inflation is going to come back. Inflation in this country is a function of the stock market. So stock market goes up, inflation probably doesn't go down. However, you cannot have 20% of the world's economy shrinking, and whatever goes on over here, the world has started shrinking. Yes, it doesn't completely revolve around China, but this whole, oh my God, I'm afraid of the inflation narrative, I'm just not buying that. Not buying that unless, say, the orange man gets in and goes crazy on tariffs, causing the price of everything that's imported to potentially rise. That's inflationary. But otherwise, you can't have China deflating and the rest of the world inflating. It's not going to work. Okay, so with the Chinese printing, handing out money to both buy securities and for consumption, you have to do a reality check. Okay, they're going to have to print more. The U.S. had to print $85 billion a month after 2008, and I'm starting to wonder, at least from an economic growth point of view, whether or not what's going on over there is just as bad as 2008 over here. Right? I mean, they've had 40 banks fail already. Okay, so ironically, it seems that this guy it seems like he's running out of like economic disaster stuff, right? He's saying that, in 2008, Wall Street took control of basically everything. Okay. In the wake of 2008, former chief economist of the IMF warned that the same dysfunctional policies he saw in his basket case Latin American or third, emerging market republics had taken hold in the United States. Okay. In other words, printing money was so stupid, you didn't even learn about it in school. Just assumed that you didn't do it. Okay. We started in 2008 and never stopped, right? Literally, we printed $85 billion a month for 15 years, right? Right up until the Fed started tightening. They were still doing it. So you have to ask yourself, what is the case for Bitcoin? You know, there was a Fed tightening cycle. Okay, that was a natural interruption for Bitcoin. But the consequences of what they've done since 2008 are now coming home to roost. And it's a question of time before the dollar starts moving. And we'll talk about that. All right. So crypto superstition. Everybody thinks that when CZ walks out and does a fist pump after getting out of jail, right, it's an automatic market rally, which is funny. Okay. One doesn't have anything to do with the other, but I kind of like it from a superstitious point of view. It's like that saying, just moon it all, right? CZ comes out. It could be a moon it all moment. Okay. So Peter Schiff, the guy that hates gold or loves gold and hates Bitcoin, says QE is on the way. So to be clear, if you start to have systemic financial problems, they're going to put high-powered money in the system. They may put high-powered money in the system now because, one, there could be a problem that we don't know about, which is why the Chinese are panicking. In other words, everybody was worried about why the Fed did 50 basis points and like, ooh, what's the problem? Well, the problem is China, and we've been telling you about that for a while. They're going to have to put high-powered money in the system because you cannot have a debacle 1 month before an election. In other words, if Uncle Sugar has a choice of suppressing Bitcoin or putting high-powered money in the system to keep stocks moving, they're going to keep stocks moving. And they're also going to do everything they can to prevent a disaster in the next, say 30 days. Like they do not want a disaster in front of the election. No way. Boomer Gold is now Bitcoin, right? In other words, the top asset to own, Bitcoin. Top ETF to own, the Bitcoin ETF. Remember, Morgan Stanley and places like that can now recommend the Bitcoin ETF. Everybody has forgotten about this. Everybody has forgotten about it. All right, now the media is picking up on it. The Q4 rally chances exceptionally high, fueled by the breakout at 65K. You know what, folks? The breakout was a long time ago. The breakout was like at least a week and a half ago. At least. Okay, you do have to be careful about token unlocks. Okay, Celestia Tia has it. Sui might have it. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, other notable unlocks: Aptos. This looks like Axie Infinity, Immutable X, ICP. Okay, these are big tokens. A lot of times when you have unlocks, if you have dramatic declines or the market doesn't break, the market turns around and goes up, or you just buy different chains until that's over. Okay, media now switching around, right? Bitcoin now signals epic bull run. I know this guy, Kelly, right? Definitely like him. Definitely respect him. When you have stuff where, bullish activity is probably on the blockchain, right? And the surge in global liquidity. That's what I was looking for. And institutions embracing Bitcoin-backed products. In other words, printing and the Bitcoin ETF. And now, like I said, everybody is off to the races, right? Bitcoin to hit new all-time highs, but there's a catch. There's always a catch. There's always a catch, right? In other words, everyone is drawing this, and I'm going to tell you something about this. You're going to look back at this thing when Bitcoin is at 150K, and you're going to say, wow, remember when we all sit around and obsess over whatever this consolidation formula is? I mean, I think it's a diamond, right? I think this here is a diamond, right? I've drawn it over the last couple days. This guy thinks you're going to get a retest to 60 or 59. The way I look at this, it's wishful thinking. Like the bus has left. Everybody wants a dip. I tell people, you already got a dip. It's called the last 6 months. It's called the last 6 months. Okay. So the election is tied in some cases and not tied in other cases. Washington Post yesterday said Harris is going to say something positive about crypto. That would be refreshing. The fact that Gensler is allowing the Bank of New York signals, to be a custody agent signals a pivot. All right. I saw the statistic yesterday just randomly. It's funny that young women dramatically outvote young men. Well, which is why it explains why the orange man is aggressively going after the crypto bro vote. Young men don't vote. For what that's worth, I think that means they got to go after the crypto bros harder. Okay, Chinese stock market breaks. Coinbase is not the only thing that goes down when everybody goes crazy. Everybody was rushing to buy. I know it's probably a bottom over there. Probably. But heaven help us all if it's not. Right? In other words, the last thing I want to do is get involved in like the minutia of macro stuff. Right? All right. Now Solana is going to 1,000. It was going to 80 a week ago. Right? It's again, the media is almost laughable. All right. A lot of stuff to go through here. Warmon in the house. A lot of good stuff going on PowerPoint today. A lot. Like the DeMarc work. The DeMarc work has become truly, truly unbelievable and helpful in the sense that, do we jump in now or not? Okay. This week for historical data, we had a really nice reversal. So the market went down Wednesday, came back really strong on Thursday. Did a data query about what I call a midweek reversal in an election year, right? So, this has happened 10 times, right? 80% of the time looking out 3 weeks. So these are the dates of the reversal. This column shows Bitcoin returns out, say, 15 days. The average of all the moves is 7%. The average of the rallies is 9%. The biggest move was off the COVID print job in 2020. Now, we're not doing a COVID print job, but the Chinese are. And if you sleep on this thing and Bitcoin has 10% upside, I actually think Bitcoin's got more like 20% upside. September was supposed to be a bearish month. They did the whole bearishness of September in the first week of September. They crashed it over Labor Day. This month, I think they're going to do the same thing. They're going to do a bullish October over the next 3 days and maybe the first couple days of October. They're going to just do it right now. And I have no idea what is going to stop Ethereum and Pepe. I mean, Pepe is telling you that an Ethereum volcano is coming. We'll go over the charts. So this is Bitcoin on a daily DeMarc chart. All right. Now, to keep this real simple, these 13 and 9 signals, they mark the end or pauses in trends. Okay. So this is likely a bottom. And the thing that's amazing about the DeMarc work is that bottom is just now being confirmed with these numbers starting to count in the other direction. So in other words, you know how everyone says, well, I can't get long until I get confirmation. Okay, well, in DeMarc work, which a lot of people can't see, you now have confirmation. Boom. ETH, same thing. Same thing, right? This was the bottom. This was the overshoot. Now it's just starting to count the other way. I mean, I'm talking about 3,000 in ETH, and then I'm talking about 3,300 in ETH. I talked to some reporter about Forbes about 3,700. He didn't print it because it's ludicrous, right? Right? Yeah, it can't happen, right? Right. Wrong. Okay, Solana, right? 160. Solana is definitely being hurt by Sui. It is. Right? People have figured out that that's like the next parabolic like Solana last year, but there is the Solana phone, and then once Sui gets done, and we'll go over that chart, Solana could take off. Really, all it takes is a breakout above 160, and Whiff and Bonk may start going. Whiff and Bonk may lead Solana, right? Because these big memes, again, you cannot have meme coins mooning and hedge funds not going, oh my God, we got to buy the most liquid meme coins we can get our hands on. I mean, I'm even hearing like all this talk from last time. It's like, oh my God, we're going to have an animals ETF. Don't doubt it. Bitcoin ETF. Okay. Once again, same thing. Like the bullish count just started. They broke the Bitcoin ETF out above 36.47, and conveniently, they did a retest of that level in the same candle, which I've discussed, right? You get these moves up, and then the retest or the dip is the same day. It's the concept of the intra-day dip. It's going to be very rare where, you're going to get these big down days. Like Thursday could be your last down day. Wednesday could have been your last down day for like a week. All right, now Sui. So good news, bad news. The bad news is this is a 13 top, so this is outperformed. This is essentially textbook DeMark, right? You have the first part of the trend stopping here, pausing, and then going up for 2 weeks in English. So Sui should stop. If Sui doesn't stop, the next move is 220. If Sui does not stop here, it's going to $5. But it should stop, or at least make maybe a final blow-off top attempt. And if that happens, that's going to break the whole rest of the market out. And if Sui keeps going, it won't stop. But Sui at a pausing point, okay, not everything outperforms forever. But if this does go up, it's going to go through $2. And that's going to create hype. And that's probably going to break the rest of the market out. Worst case scenario is Sui sits here and the whole rest of the market, all the other layer ones have to catch up, especially ETH and Solana. Right? This is the Fibonacci extension work in Sui. This is a rounding bottom on a weekly chart. You could have $2, $3, $5, and $8, and people are going to start drawing these targets. And you know what? It's not ridiculous because this is exactly what Solana did. All right, now DeMark work on some of the coins that you care about. So a lot of people have watched this move in Arrow, right? Arrow has got a 9 signal, which means there could be a pause, could be a pullback, or maybe they just break it out for 2 or 3 days and then come back down again. Arrow is at some level of resistance at $1.27. I would not be surprised if the way the dip unfolded is if you blew through 127 and then came back and retested it, even if that's just in one candle. You got one pause or dip left in Arrow, most likely, before this thing takes off for 2 weeks. It's going to make a new high, right? Because again, it's just like last year. Like, why would it? I mean, again, the chart says you might get some sort of some sort of pause or some sort of dip. I don't know if it's going to be like intraday or maybe 2 days, but what message is this sending about the base ecosystem? What message is this sending about ETH? Again, this is just like last year. Okay, here's some funny stuff. Pepe on a weekly basis. So the bottom was last year in February, and strangely enough, the market is just now confirming that bottom now, this week. So you're like, oh, well, I can't buy Pepe. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? This is the exchange version, the centralized exchange version of Pepe. But if this is like the first leg up, the second leg up, and then if there's a third leg up, Pepe's going to flip Doge. And the move just started. And everyone's going to look at it up 10% and be like, I can't do it. Right? So Pepe is going to make, it's going to make the 9 signal today. The previous fourth wave is well above the market. The previous fourth wave is a complicated way of saying that's where the market goes to officially invalidate the downtrend. So Pepe has not even gotten to the level where the downtrend is officially over in Elliott wave terms, which means Pepe could either sit here and pause or just go straight up here and then pause. But Pepe is going up here, right? This is like an obvious double bottom here, right? And just like everything you can point to leads to these big meme coins, which are leveraged versions of the layer ones taken off. WIF doesn't really want to go up. This should be the last pause day on this DeMark 4 signal. So if there's a dip or a pause today in WIF, that's your dip. This thing takes out 260, it's going to start running again. Because again, it's leveraged layer 1. Now, Tau. So this is like AI based. Okay, huge, powerful rally. Getting the pause that you should. So Tau has paused, but look where it's pausing. It's pausing on top of a prior resistance point. So all of this down here, remember how I was talking earlier in the beginning about, whatever's been going on for the last 6 months has been total BS. Look how fast they unwound it. They unwound it in Arrow. They unwound it in Tau. This could go to 1,000 or 800 easily. This is like, I was watching this tweet from this guy, Red Phone Crypto. He was like, Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and Tau. And I would say, based on this move, the market agrees. In other words, there are coins that even if you don't jump into those coins are telling you that this whole thing is going to turn around and smoke higher. And then if you can buy these outperformers on dips, they may be 3x where they are in 6 months. Rune. So Rune hasn't done a lot, right? Rune is basically back where it was in June, right? This whole like rounding bottom here, right? The previous fourth wave, they just took it out at $5. There's a pausing signal here. So it's not up today. It came off of its high yesterday. Bag holders must be selling. I think this is going to 20. No one has talked about cross-chain. The AI narrative is sort of being traded. DeFi is being traded in some coins, not fully in others, like Arrow and Aave have gone. But the liquid staking, all that stuff, like the liquid staking for Avalanche, Solana, right? Even this old school DeFi synthetics has not moved yet. All this cross-chain stuff is just going to take off. All it takes is one bid in either Sui or Solana, and cross-chain explodes. Hasn't even been traded. Yes, it has rallied, but to where? Back where it was in June. Are we saying June, the market was like, overdone somehow? No. Not even a little. Not even a little. Okay. Yeah, Malik is like, yeah, baby, go Arrow. Man, did this group with the base coins suffer? This was the house of pain, right? But we're so back. All right, let's share the screen and look at Brett. Brett was one of these coins that I don't think ever really, went down that much. Right. Okay. So, Brett, this is the Lux Algo daily chart. As you can see, Brett went down to where this rally started from. Like this was the final downtick back in June. It hit the Lux Algo discount zone along with just about everything else. Equilibrium is at 12 cents, and there is some resistance here, which is why Brett's probably backing off. But again, Brett, you don't have to worry about Brett being like expensive or overbought until it gets to 20 cents. And like I keep saying, there was huge give up trade here, and money flow is like starting to go green. All of these large cap memes are going to start doing well, right? And everybody is undoubtedly drawing something like this. Okay. I don't always like these triangle formations, but everybody gave up on this, right? I mean, this kind of thing. By the way, find out that there are certain words you can't say on YouTube. I didn't even know this. Capitulation is one of them. I stopped saying it on my stream, on my channel, and views picked up. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? Okay. So Gian suffered in Sui, but got himself in Arrow, but got himself an average price of 55 cents. Yeah, it was just unbelievable. Like that just kept going down, right? Down. Everybody out. Okay, TrueFi. Okay, I don't know. All right. So what's happening here is that you have, and this is so everywhere. There's a very important point about this. Okay. When you have these like major reversals in markets, at this stage, when you're at the head and shoulders, teacup and handle component, I don't want to use the term easy because markets are never easy. But if you're saying, gee, it's up 4%, should I jump in? I would say err on the side of jumping in because this is about to break out, right? Whether it's today or in 2 days, it's going to break out. Now, it's easier to buy in here if you have to FOMO than when it gets to 18 cents. Because once this thing returns to equilibrium or above it, like equilibrium is 16 cents in True. Again, anything in DeFi, I've been screaming it. My business partner's been screaming it. She was screaming about Pepe. These DeFi instruments are going to be repriced because, everything that they're doing in legacy is about printing. And everything is eventually going to have to move over to crypto. And even if that's not true, just this whole concept of getting decentralized structures in place before something happens in legacy, again, don't see how this doesn't smoke higher. And erring on the side of getting involved is the way to go. Is the way to go. In other words, if you don't know what to do, try and jump in. Okay, let's sum it up. Quarter end and options expiration are coming up. Normally, that's a lot of movement in the world of legacy. It is. Legacy is going to have to move from stocks to the Bitcoin ETF. Do not get in Bitcoin's way. Now, even if Bitcoin doesn't go up or there's just a 5% spurt, in my mind, do not get discouraged. ETH has not moved yet. Solana has not moved yet, right? The only thing that's really moved now, honestly, has been Sui and Arrow. Everything else is now just kind of starting a breakout. I know that's a big generalization, but there is so much of this market that has not rallied yet. Everyone's like, like I can see the influencers on YouTube, another story, right? a week ago, one young influencer was like, hey, here's my vlog at the beach. Here I am at the gym. No one was talking about crypto. No one was listening, right? Ben Armstrong was like, hey, let's talk about influencer fighting. Isn't it funny that all the influencers want to fight now? Yeah, because no one's listening about crypto. This is like a week ago, right? Everyone's like, oh, God, I missed it. Dude, this just started. No one was listening. There were no views. I mean, it was impossible to get people's attention about this. Now everyone's like, wow, this is going up. Like I saw Wendy O do a short video. Alt season is here. Wake up. I don't think people have woken up yet, right? And again, what's going on Coinbase, right? You got a list of coins that are on Coinbase. They're all going up. Small cap, large cap. You don't have to leave Coinbase to get a 5X. You don't. So when you start to put this together, like crypto bros not paying attention, Bitcoin ETF people not paying attention, and nobody wanting to hear about it because of this 6-month range, that equals an upside explosion. Have a good weekend. We will see you on Monday.